I was standing in my childhood bedroom when I got the call that changed everything. Miss Carter, this is Bradley from Horizon Realty. We're just confirming, will you be out by the 15th? The new owners are eager to move in. I froze. New owners? I'm sorry, I said slowly, my heart pounding. What are you talking about? There was a pause. Then, the house sale, 412 Maple Drive, it closed escrowed 2 weeks ago. My hands went numb. 412 Maple Drive. My parents' house. Our house. The house my sister Rachel and I promised, swore we would never sell. But I never signed anything. I never agreed to sell. I didn't even know it was listed. There must be a mistake, I whispered. No mistake, ma'am. The sale went through. Your sister handled everything. My sister, Rachel. The same Rachel who hadn't visited our parents in 3 years. The same Rachel who missed Dad's funeral because she was too busy. The same Rachel who looked me in the eye at Mom's bedside and said, "We'll never let this house go, Emily. It's all we have left of them." She sold it, behind my back, without telling me. And somehow, she made it legal. I hung up the phone and sat on the edge of my childhood bed, the same bed where Mom used to read me stories, where Dad would sneak in to leave birthday cards under my pillow. And in that moment, I made a decision. Rachel thought she was clever. She thought she'd gotten away with it. But she had no idea what I was about to do. Stick around, because what I found in the next 48 hours didn't just expose her lies, it destroyed her entire plan. Let me take you back to where this all started. 16 years ago, Rachel and I sat on the front porch of 412 Maple Drive, barefoot and sunburned, watching Dad water the roses Mom planted every spring. Rachel was 22. I was 19. "You think they'll ever sell this place?" Rachel asked, picking at the chipped paint on the porch railing. I laughed. "Are you kidding? Dad would rather lose an arm." She smiled, but it faded quickly. "What happens when they're gone, Em?" The question hit me harder than I expected. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw something I didn't recognize. Fear, maybe, or guilt. "We keep it," I said firmly. "We never sell. This house is us. It's every birthday, every Christmas, every fight, every makeup. It's Mom's terrible casseroles and Dad's terrible jokes. We don't let it go. Ever." Rachel nodded slowly, then she held out her pinky. "Promise?" I locked mine with hers. Promise. And I meant it. I don't know if she did. Fast forward 12 years. Mom's health started declining. Dad had already passed from a heart attack 3 years earlier. Rachel had moved to Portland for a big marketing job and called maybe twice a year. I stayed. I stayed because someone had to. I stayed because Mom needed me. I stayed because that house, our house, wasn't just walls and windows. It was the last piece of them we had left. I took care of Mom, through the chemo, through the sleepless nights, through the moments where she'd forget where she was and call out for Dad. Rachel visited once, for 4 days. She spent most of it on work calls in the backyard. When Mom passed, Rachel cried at the funeral. She gave a beautiful speech about the woman who shaped us, but she didn't stay for the wake. She had a flight to catch. 2 weeks later, we sat in a lawyer's office for the will reading. Everything was split evenly: the savings, the jewelry, the car, and the house. Joint ownership, 50-50. "So what do we do with it?" Rachel asked, her voice neutral. I stared at her. "We keep it, like we promised." She nodded, too quickly. "Right, of course." But I saw something flicker in her eyes. Something cold. "I might rent it out," I said. "I can't afford to live there full time yet, but I don't want it sitting empty." "Good idea," Rachel said, already checking her phone. That was 4 months ago, and in those 4 months, I heard nothing from her. No texts, no calls, no "Hey, how are you holding up?" Nothing. Until that phone call from the realtor. "I need you to understand something. This wasn't just about money. This wasn't just about property. This was about betrayal. Rachel knew what that house meant. She knew it, and she sold it anyway, without a word, without a conversation, without even the decency to lie to my face first. She thought she could erase me from the equation. She thought I'd just roll over and accept it. She was wrong, because while Rachel was busy covering her tracks, I was about to uncover something she never saw coming. And trust me, you won't believe what I found. Stay with me. This is where it gets dark. The first call from the realtor was a shock. The second one was a nightmare. 2 days after Bradley from Horizon Realty called, I got another one. This time, it was a woman named Stephanie. She sounded irritated. "Miss Carter, we've been trying to reach you for a week. The buyers are getting anxious. They need confirmation that all utilities will be transferred by the 12th. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said, my voice shaking. "I never agreed to sell this house." There was a long pause. "Ma'am, the sale is final. Your sister provided all the necessary documentation. If you have concerns, you'll need to take it up with her or your attorney." My sister provided the documentation? I hung up and immediately called Rachel. It went straight to voicemail. I called again and again. Nothing. So I texted her. "Rachel, I just got a call from a realtor saying you sold the house. Call me, now." 3 hours later, she replied, "Can't talk now, in a meeting. We'll explain later." Explain later? Our childhood home, the one we promised to keep, was sold out from under me, and she couldn't even pick up the phone? I sat there, staring at my screen, my hands trembling. Something was very, very wrong. Over the next few days, the calls kept coming. A moving company asking when I'd need their services, a home inspector confirming a final walkthrough date, a title company requesting signatures I'd never seen. Each time I told them the same thing. I didn't authorize this. And each time they said the same thing. Your sister handled everything. But how? How could she sell a house we jointly owned without my signature? I started digging. I went to the county recorder's office. I pulled up property records. I searched for any documents tied to 412 Maple Drive. And that's when I saw it. The listing, the sale agreement, the escrow closing. All of it signed by Rachel Carter, acting under power of attorney. My stomach dropped. Power of attorney? When the hell did that happen? I tore through Mom's old files, my hands shaking as I flipped through legal folders, medical paperwork, old tax returns, and then I found it, buried in a stack of hospital documents from 6 years ago when Mom had her first surgery. A power of attorney form signed by Mom, granting Rachel temporary legal authority to make decisions on her behalf. I read it 3 times, my vision blurring with rage. This was from 6 years ago, when Mom was sick, when Rachel happened to be in town for a week and offered to help with paperwork. And now she was using it to steal our house. I grabbed my phone and called her again. This time she answered. "Hey, Em, sorry I've been so busy." "Don't." My voice was ice. "I don't you dare play innocent with me. I know what you did. I found the power of attorney." Silence. Then, softly, "Emily, I can explain." "Explain? You sold our parents' house without telling me. You used a legal document from 6 years ago to cut me out. You lied." "I didn't lie," she said, her tone shifting, colder now. "I made a decision. The house was costing us money. Property taxes, maintenance, insurance. Someone had to be realistic." "Realistic?" I was shaking. "We promised, Rachel. We swore we'd never sell." "We were kids, Emily. Promises change." And then she hung up. I stood there, staring at my phone, my entire body numb. Rachel wasn't sorry. She wasn't guilty. She was calculated. And I realized something in that moment. This wasn't over. Not even close. Because I was about to find the one thing she never expected me to find, and it was going to destroy her. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying Rachel's words over and over. Promises change. How could she say that? How could she stand there, well, virtually, and act like what she did was justified? But the more I thought about it, the more something didn't add up. That power of attorney was from 6 years ago. It was meant for Mom's medical decisions during her surgery. Temporary, limited. Could it really still be valid? At 2 a.m., I grabbed my laptop and started researching. I wasn't a lawyer, but I knew how to dig, and what I found made my heart race. In our state, a general power of attorney expires under specific conditions: when the principal, Mom, dies, when the document itself includes an expiration date, or when it's revoked in writing. I pulled up the scanned copy of the document again and zoomed in. And there it was, buried in the fine print at the bottom of page 2. This power of attorney shall remain in effect for a period of 1 year from the date of signing, unless otherwise revoked in writing. 1 year. It was dated March 14th, 2018. It expired in 2019. Mom died in 2024. Rachel used an expired legal document to sell the house. I almost screamed. I wanted to call her right then and there, to shove the truth in her face and watch her scramble. But something stopped me. A voice in the back of my head, my dad's voice, calm and steady. Don't react, Em. Plan. Evidence first, emotion second. So I didn't call her. Instead, I opened a new folder on my laptop and labeled it Proof, and I started collecting everything. First, I saved a copy of the expired power of attorney. Then, I pulled the property sale records from the county website. I requested a copy of the listing agreement from Horizon Realty. At first, they refused, but when I explained I was a co-owner who didn't authorize the sale, they sent it over within an hour. I cross-referenced the signatures. Rachel had signed everything: the listing agreement, the escrow documents, the title transfer. All of it fraudulent. All of it based on a document that had been dead for 5 years. Next, I went through my emails. I searched for anything Rachel had sent me over the last 6 months, anything that mentioned the house, Mom's estate, or her plans. And that's when I found it. An email dated January 9th, 2 months before Mom passed. Subject line, quick question about the house. I opened it. Hey Em, just checking in. I know things have been hard with Mom. I've been thinking, what if we consider selling the house once everything settles? I know we said we'd keep it, but honestly, it might be too much for us to manage long term. Let me know what you think. Love, Rachel. I remembered this email. I remembered reading it while sitting in Mom's hospital room, exhausted and overwhelmed. And I remembered my response. Rachel, I can't even think about that right now. Mom's still here. We made a promise. Let's talk about it later. Later. I never brought it up again, and neither did she, because she didn't need to. She'd already decided. I printed everything. I saved backups. I organized it all into a timeline. Rachel thought she was untouchable. She thought the power of attorney was her golden ticket, but she made one critical mistake. She assumed I wouldn't look. She assumed I'd just accept it. She assumed I was too heartbroken, too tired, too weak to fight back. She was wrong, and now I had the proof. But here's the thing. I wasn't ready to use it yet, because what happened next made everything even worse. I waited 3 days before I called her again. I needed to be calm, strategic. I couldn't let emotion cloud what I was about to do. When she finally answered, her voice was casual, too casual. Hey, Em, what's up? We need to talk, in person. She sighed. I'm really busy right now. I don't care, this can't wait. There was a pause. Then, fine, I'll fly in this weekend. She showed up Saturday afternoon, dressed in designer jeans and a blazer, looking like she'd just stepped out of a corporate boardroom. We met at a coffee shop near the house, neutral ground. She ordered a latte. I ordered nothing. "Okay," she said, sitting down across from me. "Let's get this over with." "Get this over with?" I stared at her. "Rachel, you sold our parents' house without telling me. You used a power of attorney from 6 years ago to do it, and now you're acting like I'm inconveniencing you?" She stirred her latte slowly, not meeting my eyes. "Emily, I did what I had to do." "What you had to do?" "Yes," she looked up, her expression hard. "That house was bleeding money. Taxes, upkeep, insurance. It was sitting there empty while you figured things out. Someone had to make a decision." "It wasn't your decision to make," my voice cracked. "We owned it together. You had no right." "I had every right," she snapped. "I had power of attorney. That document expired in 2019. The color drained from her face. Just for a second. Then she recovered, her jaw tightening. "That's not true." "It is. I have the paperwork. 1-year term. It's right there in the fine print." She leaned back, crossing her arms. "Then you read it wrong." "I didn't." "Well, the lawyers didn't catch it. The title company didn't catch it. So even if you're technically right, it doesn't matter. The sale went through. It's done." I felt my hands curl into fists under the table. "It's not done, Rachel. That sale was fraudulent. You committed fraud." She laughed, actually laughed. "Fraud? Emily, you're being dramatic. I made a hard choice. You're upset because you wanted to cling to the past, but I was thinking about our future. That house was an anchor. I set us free." "Set us free?" I could barely breathe. "You stole from me. You erased me. And now you're sitting here acting like you did me a favor?" She stood up, grabbing her purse. "I'm not going to sit here and be attacked. If you want to waste your time chasing some imaginary legal loophole, go ahead, but you'll lose. The sale is final, the buyers have moved in, and you're not getting that house back." She turned to leave. "Rachel," she stopped, glancing back. I kept my voice steady, calm. "You're right about one thing. I'm not getting the house back." She smirked. Finally, some sense. "I'm getting justice." Her smirk faltered. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't answer. I just watched her walk away, her confidence still intact. But I could see it, the tiniest crack in her armor. She was scared. She just didn't know why yet. That night, I made a list of everything I needed to do next. Step 1, find a lawyer. Step 2, build an airtight case. Step 3, take her down. Rachel thought she'd won, but the war had just begun. And trust me, what I did next changed everything. The first lawyer I called didn't take me seriously. "Ma'am, if the sale went through escrow, it's going to be very difficult to reverse. Even with an expired power of attorney, you'd need to prove intent to defraud, and that's a high bar." The second lawyer said the same thing. The third one hung up. I was losing hope. And then I found Daniel Reeves. Daniel was a real estate attorney in his mid-50s with a reputation for taking on cases no one else would touch. I found him through an online legal forum where someone had mentioned his name in a thread about property fraud and sibling disputes. I called his office on a Wednesday afternoon. His assistant answered. "Reeves Law, how can I help you?" "I need to speak with Mr. Reeves. My sister fraudulently sold our family home using an expired power of attorney." There was a pause. "Hold, please." 2 minutes later, a deep, calm voice came on the line. "This is Daniel Reeves. Tell me everything." I spent an hour on the phone with him, walking through every detail. The promise Rachel and I made, the power of attorney document, the expiration date, the secret sale, the confrontation at the coffee shop. When I finished, there was silence on the other end. "Ms. Carter, your sister made a very big mistake." "So you'll take the case?" "I'll do better than that. I'll win it." Daniel didn't waste time. Within 48 hours, he'd filed a lis pendens, a legal notice that alerts the public there's a dispute over the property. It effectively froze any further transactions tied to the house. The buyers freaked out. They called me furious. "We bought this house in good faith. You can't just stop us from moving in." "I didn't sell you the house," I said calmly. My sister did, without my consent. If you have a problem, take it up with her. They hung up and immediately called their lawyer. Rachel called me an hour later. What the hell did you do? Her voice was shaking, not with anger, with panic. I filed a legal challenge. You sold the house using a fraudulent document. I'm getting it voided. You can't. Emily, the buyers are suing me now. Do you have any idea what you've done? I know exactly what I've done. I'm holding you accountable. You're ruining my life. You ruined mine first. I hung up. Over the next 2 weeks, Daniel worked like a machine. He subpoenaed records from the title company, the escrow agency, and Horizon Realty. He pulled Rachel's bank statements with a court order and found the $340,000 deposit from the sale. He interviewed the buyers, who admitted they'd only ever dealt with Rachel, never me. And then he found something even better, a recorded phone call. Apparently, Horizon Realty records all calls for quality assurance. Daniel requested the recordings of every call Rachel made during the listing process, and in one of them, dated March 3rd, just 2 weeks after Mom died, Rachel said this, quote, "My sister isn't involved in this decision. She's emotionally compromised right now. I have full legal authority to proceed." End quote. Emotionally compromised. She didn't just lie to the realtor, she slandered me. She painted me as unstable so no one would question her authority. Daniel played the recording for me in his office. I sat there frozen, listening to my sister's voice, so calm, so calculated, erasing me from the narrative. When it finished, I looked up at Daniel. "Can we use this?" He smiled. "Oh, we're definitely using this." The case was building, the evidence was stacking, the walls were closing in on Rachel, but she wasn't done fighting yet, because what she did next, it was the most desperate, reckless move she could have made, and it's exactly what we needed. Stay with me. This is where Rachel's lies start to unravel completely. Rachel was panicking. I could tell because she started calling me, not once or twice, constantly. She left voicemails, sent long, rambling texts, even emailed me at 3 a.m. The tone shifted with every message. First, she tried guilt. I'm your sister. Why are you doing this to me? Mom and Dad would be so disappointed." Then she tried bargaining. "Look, I'll split the money with you, 50-50. We can both walk away happy. Just drop the case." And finally, she tried threats. "If you keep pushing this, you're going to regret it. I have lawyers too, you know, and they're way better than yours." I didn't respond to any of it. Daniel had told me not to. Let her dig her own grave, he said. And dig she did. 2 days later, Rachel filed a counterclaim. She alleged that I was trying to manipulate the legal system, that I was acting in bad faith, and that I had abandoned the property by not living in it after Mom died. Her argument? That because I hadn't moved in or paid utilities, I'd forfeited my claim to ownership. It was absurd. Daniel read the filing and actually laughed. "She's grasping at straws," he said. "This won't hold up, but it does tell us something important." What? She's scared, and scared people make mistakes. He was right, because a week later, Rachel made the biggest mistake of all. She bragged. One of our cousins, Melissa, called me out of the blue. "Emily, I need to tell you something." "What's going on?" "I saw Rachel last weekend. We met for drinks, and she was weird. She kept talking about the house." My stomach tightened. "What did she say?" "She said she pulled off the deal of a lifetime, that she managed to sell the house even though you were being difficult. She was laughing about it, Em. She said you'd never be able to prove anything because she covered all her bases." I closed my eyes, my heart pounding. "Did she say anything else?" "Yeah, she said the power of attorney was close enough to being valid, and that even if it wasn't, no one would care because the sale already went through." Close enough. She admitted it wasn't valid, to a witness. "Melissa, I need you to do something for me. Anything. I need you to write down everything she said, word for word, date, time, location, and I need you to sign a statement." There was a pause. You're building a case, aren't you? Yes. Good. She deserves it. When Daniel saw Melissa's signed statement, his eyes lit up. This is gold, Emily. Absolute gold. Can we use it in court? We can, and we will. But Rachel wasn't done spiraling, because 2 days after that, the buyer's lawyer contacted Daniel. They wanted to settle. Apparently, the buyers had done their own digging and realized the sale was shaky at best. They didn't want to be dragged into a legal war. Their offer? They'd walk away from the purchase if Rachel refunded their deposit and covered their legal fees. Daniel forwarded me the email. I read it twice, my hands shaking. This was it. The buyers were out, the sale was collapsing, and Rachel, she was about to lose everything. I called Daniel. What do we do now? We push hard. We file for a full voiding of the sale, restoration of your ownership, and damages for emotional distress and legal costs. And Rachel? If she fights it, we go to court. If she's smart, she'll settle. What if she's not smart? He chuckled. Then we bury her. Rachel wasn't smart, because instead of settling, instead of admitting defeat, she doubled down. She hired a new lawyer, some hotshot from Seattle, who charged $600 an hour, and filed another motion claiming I was mentally unfit to co-own property. She was trying to paint me as unstable, unreliable, incompetent, the same way she'd done on that recorded call. And that's when I realized something. Rachel wasn't just trying to win, she was trying to destroy me. But here's the thing about people who try to destroy you. They never see their own destruction coming. And trust me, hers was right around the corner. Daniel called me into his office on a Friday afternoon. "We're going to mediation," he said. "Wait, I thought we were going to court." "We could, but mediation is faster. And more importantly, it's where Rachel will destroy herself." I frowned. "I don't understand." He leaned back in his chair, smiling. "Rachel's new lawyer is aggressive. He's going to push hard, try to intimidate you, and make you look unstable. But here's the thing, mediators hate that. They're trained to spot manipulation, and if Rachel or her lawyer oversteps, it'll backfire spectacularly. So what do? We stay calm. We present the facts. We let her lose control." The mediation was scheduled for the following Tuesday. It took place in a bland conference room downtown, with a mediator named Miss Patricia Huang, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s who looked like she'd seen every trick in the book. Rachel arrived with her lawyer, a man named Greg Foster, mid-40s, expensive suit, slicked back hair. He looked exactly like the kind of guy who'd argue the sky was green if you paid him enough. Rachel didn't look at me. We sat on opposite sides of the table. Miss Huang opened the session. "We're here to discuss the disputed sale of 412 Maple Drive. Miss Emily Carter is alleging that her sister, Miss Rachel Carter, fraudulently sold the property using an expired power of attorney. Miss Rachel Carter disputes this claim. Let's begin with opening statements." Daniel went first. Calm, methodical, factual. He walked through the timeline, the joint ownership, the expired document, the secret sale, the recorded call, Melissa's statement. He laid it all out like pieces of a puzzle, each one clicking into place. When he finished, Miss Huang nodded thoughtfully. "Mr. Foster." Greg Foster stood up, smoothing his tie. And then he went for the throat. "Miss Huang, this case is a textbook example of sibling jealousy disguised as legal action. Miss Emily Carter has abandoned the property in question. She didn't live there, she didn't maintain it, she didn't even visit it regularly. Meanwhile, my client, Miss Rachel Carter, took on the burden of managing the estate, handling the financials, and making the difficult decision to sell an asset that was hemorrhaging money." He gestured toward me. "Miss Emily Carter is emotionally compromised. She's grieving, yes, but that grief has clouded her judgment. She's clinging to a childhood promise that no longer makes financial sense. And now, rather than accept reality, she's weaponizing the legal system to punish her sister for being practical." I felt my jaw clench. Daniel put a hand on my arm. "Stay calm." Miss Huang looked at Foster. Mr. Foster, do you have evidence that Miss Emily Carter abandoned the property? She didn't live there, ma'am. That's not abandonment. She co-owned it. She had every right to decide what to do with it. Did Miss Rachel Carter consult her before the listing of the property? Foster hesitated. My client attempted to reach out. That's not what I asked. Did she consult her? No. Did she inform her of the sale before it went through? No, but did she have valid legal authority to sell the property on her own? Foster opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. The power of attorney was expired, Daniel said, sliding a copy of the document across the table. 1-year term, right here, highlighted. Miss Huang picked it up, read it, and looked at Foster. Mr. Foster, your client sold property she did not have the authority to sell. That is fraud. Foster's face went red. Miss Huang, with all due respect, I'm not finished. She turned to Rachel. Miss Carter, did you know the power of attorney had expired? Rachel's eyes darted to Foster. I thought it was still valid. You thought or you knew? Silence. Miss Carter, I'll ask again. Did you know it had expired? Rachel swallowed hard, and then, in the smallest voice I'd ever heard from Rachel, yes. The room went silent. Foster's jaw dropped. Daniel smiled, and I felt something inside me break open, something that had been locked tight for months. Relief, vindication, victory, because Rachel just confessed, and there was no going back. The mediation room felt like it was shrinking. Rachel's lawyer, Greg Foster, looked like he'd just been hit by a truck. Rachel, he hissed under his breath, don't say another word. But it was too late. Miss Huang leaned forward, her expression unreadable. Ms. Rachel Carter, you just admitted that you knowingly used an expired legal document to sell property you did not have the authority to sell. Is that correct? Rachel's eyes filled with tears. I didn't mean to. Is that correct? Miss Huang's voice was sharp now. Rachel nodded, her voice barely a whisper. Yes. Foster stood up abruptly. Ms. Huang, my client is clearly under duress. I'd like to request a recess. Sit down, Mr. Foster. He sat. Ms. Huang turned to Daniel. Counselor, do you have anything to add? Daniel stood slowly, like a chess player about to call checkmate. Only this. My client, Ms. Emily Carter, has been traumatized by this betrayal. She lost her parents, she lost her home, and she nearly lost her faith in her own family. We're seeking full restitution, voiding of the sale, restoration of ownership, and damages for emotional distress, legal fees, and punitive penalties. Ms. Huang nodded. Mr. Foster, does your client wish to respond? Foster looked at Rachel. Rachel looked at the floor. No, Foster said quietly. We'd like to discuss a settlement. The mediation paused for 30 minutes. Daniel and I stepped into the hallway. Did that just happen? I asked, my voice shaking. It did. She admitted it? She did. So what now? Now we negotiate. But Emily, he looked at me seriously, you need to decide what you want. Do you want the house back? Do you want financial compensation? Do you want Rachel to face criminal charges? I stared at him. Can I have all three? He smiled. Let's see what they offer first. When we walked back into the room, Rachel looked like she'd been crying. Foster cleared his throat. My client is prepared to offer the following. She will consent to voiding the sale, she will return the proceeds from the sale, minus her legal fees, and she will transfer her share of ownership to Ms. Emily Carter, effectively giving her full control of the property. I blinked. She's giving up her half of the house? Yes. Daniel looked at me. That's a strong offer, Emily. I looked across the table at Rachel. She still wouldn't meet my eyes. Why? I asked her. She looked up, her face red and blotchy. Because I can't fix this. I thought I was being smart. I thought I was doing the right thing. But I wasn't. I was selfish, and I hurt you. And her voice cracked. I don't deserve to keep any part of that house. For the first time in months, I saw her. Not the villain, not the liar, just my sister. Broken, ashamed, lost. and I realized something. I didn't want revenge anymore. I wanted closure. "I accept," I said quietly. Daniel nodded. "We'll draft the settlement agreement today." Foster exhaled in relief. Miss Huang made a note. "This mediation is concluded. The terms will be formalized in writing and submitted to the court within 48 hours. Rachel stood up, grabbing her purse. "Emily," she said softly. I looked at her. "I'm sorry." I didn't say anything. I just watched her walk out. Daniel and I stayed behind to finalize paperwork. "You did it. You won." "Yeah," he sighed. "I got the house back. I got justice, but I lost my sister." He was quiet for a moment. "Maybe not forever," he said gently. "Maybe, but deep down I wasn't sure, because some betrayals cut too deep to heal." But the story doesn't end here, because what happened next, what I did with the house, changed everything. The settlement was finalized 2 weeks later. The sale was voided. The buyers were refunded. Rachel transferred her ownership stake to me. 412 Maple Drive was mine, completely, legally, irrevocably. I stood on the front porch the day the paperwork was finalized, holding the deed in my hands. The house was quiet, empty, waiting, and for the first time in months, I felt peace. But peace doesn't mean everything is perfect. It just means you've stopped fighting. I didn't move into the house right away. Honestly, I wasn't sure I ever would. Too many memories, too much pain. But I couldn't sell it either. So I did something else. I turned it into a memorial. Not a literal one, no plaques or museum displays, but I opened it up. I started hosting small gatherings there, dinners with old friends, game nights with neighbors, holidays with the family members who still spoke to me. I let people live in the space again, because that's what Mom and Dad would have wanted. Not a shrine, not a tomb, a home. As for Rachel, we haven't spoken since the mediation. She moved back to Portland, changed her number, deleted me from social media. I don't blame her for running. Shame has a way of doing that to people. Part of me wonders if she'll ever reach out again. Part of me wonders if I'd even answer if she did. But here's what I do know. I don't regret fighting back. I don't regret standing up for myself. And I don't regret proving that betrayal, no matter how calculated, will always leave a trail. Rachel thought she was smarter than me. She thought she could erase me from the equation. But she forgot one thing. I'm my father's daughter, and he taught me to never give up on what's right. So to everyone watching this, especially those of you dealing with family betrayal, estate disputes, or siblings who think they can take advantage of you, here's my advice. Document everything, trust your gut, and never, ever let someone rewrite your story. Because the truth, it always comes out. Sometimes it takes time, sometimes it takes a fight, but it always comes out. Before I go, I want to ask you something. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have fought back, let it go, confronted Rachel differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story resonated with you, if you've dealt with something similar or know someone who has, please share this video. You never know who might need to hear it. Also, I'll be honest, making this video wasn't easy. Reliving everything, organizing the timeline, walking through the pain, it took a lot out of me. But I did it because I think these stories matter. They remind us that we're not alone, that betrayal is real, but so is justice, and that sometimes the quietest revenge is simply proving you were right all along. If you're new here, welcome. I share real stories like this one, stories about family drama, justice, and the messy, complicated truth of being human. Hit that subscribe button if you want more. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And thank you, truly, for watching, for listening, and for being here. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just my story, it's our story. And together, we'll prove that the truth will always win. So that's my story. The house is still standing, I'm still standing, and Rachel, well, she's somewhere out there, living with the consequences of her choices. I don't wish her harm, But I don't wish her well either. I just wish her away. Before I close this out, I want to say something to anyone who's ever been betrayed by someone they trusted. It's not your fault. You didn't cause it, you didn't deserve it, and you have every right to fight back. People will tell you to let it go, to be the bigger person, to forgive and move on. But here's the truth. Forgiveness is a choice, not an obligation. And justice? Justice is earned. So if someone wrongs you, really wrongs you, don't feel guilty for standing your ground. Don't feel guilty for wanting accountability. And don't feel guilty for protecting what's yours. Because at the end of the day, the only person who will always have your back is you. All right, that's it for me. If you made it this far, thank you. Seriously, this was a long one, and I appreciate every second you spent here. Drop a comment and let me know. Have you ever dealt with a family betrayal? Would you have handled things differently? Or do you have a story of your own you'd like to share? I love hearing from you. Your stories inspire me to keep making these videos. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Hit that like button if this resonated with you, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because these stories, they're bigger than just me. They're about all of us. And together, we're building a community where the truth matters, justice wins, and no one gets away with betrayal. Thanks for watching. And remember, stay strong, stay smart, and never let anyone steal your story. See you in the next one.